Multitasking this season, we have 61 reasons why you do not want to drive and talk on your cell phone. Hello and welcome to HomeTowne TV News. I'm Leigh Pafford, bringing you the latest from the independent press, the Millburn Item, and the Summit Patch.
And I'm Bob Heissler, and in the news this week, copycat crimes, critters, and Christmas cards. Stay with us. Our top story brings us to Summit, where Overlook Medical Center will move forward with its helipad plan. Overlook Medical Center has filed another application with the State Department of Transportation seeking approval to build a helipad at the facility. The helipad was controversial from almost the moment it was proposed. In 2010, the Summit Zoning Board rejected Overlook Medical Center's application to build this helipad, and Overlook appealed, and a judge upheld the Zoning Board's decision. Overlook then filed another appeal. Terry Turco, a member of the Medical Center's board and supporter of the appeal and the helipad, said that the people who are against it are very organized and their message is getting through. In a press release, the Medical Center said the construction of a helipad at Overlook will play an important role in the facility's continued development as a stroke center. Meanwhile, opponents of the helipad said they will continue to oppose the application. Andy Gottesman, a member of Citizens Against the Helipad, said its members are disappointed, but they're not shocked. He said they had hoped that the hospital would abide by the rulings of the town and the court. In light of the recent appeal, however, the group will continue to oppose their application. There has been at least one instance in the state where an approval to build a helipad after a zoning board had denied an application turned out favorably, and that applicant was Donald Trump, who was granted approval to build at the Trump Golf Course in Colts Neck in 2012. I guess if you're Donald Trump.
I guess if you are, maybe he'll get behind the helipad at Overlook and they'll have a shot.
Let's see.
We'll see. Well, if you're going to be driving in Chatham, don't even think about using a cell phone. A special enforcement detail aimed at motorists who use handheld cell phones while driving resulted in 61 summons for the offense one recent morning in Chatham Borough. On Friday morning, November 21st, Chatham Police conducted the special enforcement detail on Main Street and Coleman Avenue, targeting drivers using handheld cell phones. A message sign was placed at the west end of Main Street several days before, warning that the use of handheld wireless telephones while driving is illegal and violations will be strictly enforced. Neighboring Summit looks to improve safety with a new crossing guard location. The Summit Common Council unanimously approved the hiring of a crossing guard who will be stationed at Ashland Road and Mountain Avenue. Second Ward Councilman Patrick Hurley, who has lived near the intersection for 18 years, said the resolution came about as the result of a resident petition. In September, also at the request of residents, the council approved the reduction of the speed limit on Ashland Road between Pine Grove Avenue and Elm Place from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour where the intersection begins. The 5-point intersection was at the scene of a fatal accident in 2009. At the time, Hurley expressed his frustration that the city and the county did not do more than just make minor modifications.
Now from the police blotter, a local pair is accused of burglary in New Providence. Two people were arrested recently in connection with a New Providence home burglary earlier in November. Matthew Cardielli, 30, of Summit, and Nancy Fico, 23, of Chatham, were each charged with the burglary, theft, and criminal mischief. The charges stem from a November 18th burglary on Bergen Road, where the back door was forced open and jewelry was stolen from drawers in the master bedroom. The pair was also found to be in possession of jewelry stolen in a Glen Ridge residential burglary last Friday. Cardiello is being held at the Essex County Jail in lieu of $10,000 bail, and Fico has been released on $5,000 bail. It's very unfortunate, you know?
Yeah, it's a shame when people result to crime.
Right.
Speaking of crime, are cases of teens playing the violent knockout game in New Providence copycat cases from the instances reported in Jersey City? A Gales Drive resident was struck in the back of the head as he was walking to the bus stop on Springfield Avenue in New Providence last month. The assailant was described as a white man in his late teens wearing a brown jacket and jeans when the incident occurred on November 11th at about 12:30 p.m. Police officers could not find anyone in the area who matched the description. The Detective Bureau continues to investigate this report. We at HomeTowne TV urge our viewers to be aware of their surroundings and please stay safe.
It's already been a year since the tragic school shootings in Newtown. A candlelight vigil is being held in Summit on the Village Green on December 14th to remember those that we lost. HomeTowne TV news anchor Saul Simon is here along with the co-organizers of this event from the Interfaith Council. Over to you, Saul.
Hi, I'm Saul Simon, and welcome to HomeTowne Television. I'm joined by Benita Stevens and Kathy Allen Roth today, the co-organizers of the Newtown Remembrance Vigil. Ladies, I want to thank you both for being here.
Oh, it's our
And
pleasure.
I want to ask just what made you want to create this vigil that's occurring on Saturday, December 14th?
Well, first of all, we want to thank you for making it possible for us to be able to be here. Kathy and I got together. Kathy was attending an event that was in Morristown and on gun violence, right?
Right.
As well as, so when she came back to her church, they saw that the passion she was in wanted to connect with our Organizing for Action. And I happen to be the Union County chapter lead. So that's how we got together. And knowing that this vigil, this December 14th date was coming up for the Newtown
Anniversary.
one year anniversary of Newtown. And so we got together.
And planned this vigil.
and planned
Awesome. And it's taking place where?
Summit's Village Green, right next to Central Presbyterian Church.
And
It's
what
at
time?
4 o'clock, just as dusk is settling, and we have speakers and children's choir, and then at the end of the program we'll have another musician, and we will have candle lighting.
Tell me why do you think it's important to bring this to the Summit community today?
Well, it's not just Summit, it's throughout the country. A lot of vigils will be taking place in many towns that feel a connection with Newtown. In New Jersey alone, I believe there are 6 vigils. Some are on the night before, some are on the morning of. We want the communities to remember what happened. We want the people in the towns to know that this has been 1 year already. And we want the families in Newtown to know that the people of this country are with them in spirit and in our hearts.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
We just hope that by keeping this awareness alive, that people will continue to work on this, because the issue isn't going away. One thing that I discovered when I started reading about this issue is that 8 children every day are killed with gunfire.
Oh, my.
8, well, I should say children and teens are killed every day. So that's 56 a week. And this issue isn't going away. But we want to keep it alive in the community with this vigil.
That's great. So I want to personally again thank Benita and Kathy for joining us. If you have any desire to come out and support the vigil, please join us at the Green at 4 o'clock on Saturday the 14th. And I'm Saul Simon. Back to you and Leigh and Bob at the news desk.
Thanks, Saul. In education news, Summit Middle School's Critter Club gets some needed support. Thanks to a grant from the Summit Educational Foundation, students at the Lawton C. Johnson Summit Middle School are able to care for various animals while learning responsibility, teamwork, and other important life skills. Experienced club members gain more responsibility when they earn status as a member of Critter Care, those students who are allowed to feed and care for the various animals each morning and afternoon. The Critter Club attracts a diverse group of more than 80 students from the middle school grades. The critters are also diverse. Currently, they have 2 bearded dragons, 3 leopard geckos, and 1 corn snake, just to name a few.
Founders of another popular club, the Matinee Club, are here in our studios to tell us about a film starring the late James Gandolfini. The film is entitled Enough Said. Let's hear what they thought about it.
Hi, I'm Catherine, and I'm here with Helene, and today the Matinee Club presents Enough Said. Enough Said stars the late James Gandolfini in his final role, and Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and they play a pair of gun-shy divorcees who, each with a daughter about to leave for college and leave them empty nesters, who meet and tiptoe around a new and growing relationship.
I just love the title because I'm a perfect example of, you know, sometimes you say too much, sometimes you say too little, sometimes enough said is just enough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And we sabotage ourselves sometimes by saying too much, you know. I thought Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character was just adorable. I mean, I love her, but I thought she was really sweet, and she was vulnerable, and she was raw, she was honest, she was, you know, she was like this everyday person that I could completely relate to, because she's, you know, she's went through a divorce, she is her, you know, she's an empty nester, she's all these things that, you know, she's our age, and she meets adorable James Gandolfini, who she thinks is this great guy, and then be careful who you listen to.
Right. She also meets this sort of egotistical poetess who turns out to be James Gandolfini's ex-wife.
Right.
And she's fascinated with her, and you could see why, because Catherine Keener plays this character as beautifully, I thought, as sort of the bitchy, you know, serene, with a perfect home and not a thing out of place, and everything about her life to Eva, Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character, seems so organized and in place and
She's
perfect.
so together.
And her life, Eva's life, is such a
mess.
sloppy mess, you know, that you can see why she's attracted. But yes, she allows this ex-wife to poison her feelings about James Gandolfini, who is not adorable. I take issue with that.
Well, he's warm-hearted, he's kind, he's
Yes.
loving.
Yes.
Sexy, he's no Chris
Not so
Hemsworth.
much.
You know, but yeah, but really, you know, is it saying trust your instincts, you know, don't be swayed by what other people have to say, things are, you know, subjective, you know, there are a lot of messages in there.
Yeah, I mean, the movie is about, you know, letting go and you know, heading into new unknown territory, and I, in both the main story, their relationship, and also the relationship with the daughters. They each have a daughter who's leaving, and trying to deal with that, you know, loss to come, and for both of them, for the daughter who's leaving,
Right.
And that scene in the airport when they say goodbye to the daughter, I don't know how a mother could not cry at that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
did-
it was touching. I mean, there was a lot going on, and that, you know, I thought there were a lot of very humorous parts. I love the part with the friend and the maid who kept putting like things in the wrong place intentionally. And again, you know, there were a lot of things that were said that shouldn't have been said.
Mm-hmm.
You know, during their dinner party, you know, Julie Louis-Dreyfus, what's her name in the movie? Her character, Eva was a little unfeeling in what she said to James's character.
Oh yeah, she was mean. How many kernels would you give it?
I would give it 3. I liked it. I thought it was entertaining. It was good. It wasn't great.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was thoughtful and nicely constructed, and it was one of those things that I thought about for a long time after I left the theater. And it had some lovely humor, but it lacked something. I think partly we were very hyped up about it and then a little disappointed. I also thought Julia Louis-Dreyfus was kind of a lot of mugging for the camera, kind of those Elaine faces that I'm tired of seeing her do. And I didn't feel there was I could not really see the chemistry between the Eva and James Gandolfini character, even though people seem to think that they did. So I'm going to give it 3.5 stars too. Worth seeing.
Yeah, definitely worth seeing and entertaining and a nice night out.
Yeah, or night in.
Or
now
night
it's
in.
on TV.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with another review.
And if you're interested in our club, please visit our website to find out more about us. See you next time.
Thank you, ladies. It's always a good time for the movies. Now, proudly representing Governor Livingston High School in Berkeley Heights, 2 students win the Word Right Challenge. Governor Livingston High School in Berkeley Heights recently won highest honors in the year's Word Right Challenge, which is a national competition for high school students requiring close reading of poetry and prose. Participating with school teams from all across the country, the school placed 12th in the nation in this year's first meet. Seniors Ipsita Chatterjee and Rachel Zhu earned perfect scores, an accomplishment achieved by only 32 12th graders in the entire country. 3 additional meets are scheduled throughout the school year, and Governor Livingston's participation in the challenge was made possible through a PTO grant awarded to the English department faculty. Leigh, I did some math, and I don't know how many high schools there are in the country, but there must be several 100,000 seniors. And these 2 gals were of 32 people in the entire country. That's phenomenal.
It's pretty amazing. Berkeley Heights is doing great this year.
They
One of
sure
the
are.
top 10 towns to live in the country,
Oh,
and
yeah.
now these girls,
They've got it all.
pretty amazing.
Yep.
And cheers also go out to the Short Hills robotics team, which has advanced to the state finals. 3 robotics team members from Short Hills triumphed at Bridgewater Raritan Brick Rampage, the region's qualifying competition for First Lego League last month. 22 teams from the area competed at the event. The MonsterBots team from Deerfield Elementary School won the Champion Award for earning top scores in all 4 categories of judging. Teams have to score in the top 40% of all 4 categories to advance to the state finals. A second Short Hills team, the Hartshorn Eye Robots, also earned this distinction and will advance to state finals with the MonsterBots and 5 other teams. Thor's Hammer, a 3rd team hailing from Hartshorn Elementary, won a category award for having the 2nd highest robot game score. A 4th team from Hartshorn Furious Minds participated in the competition as well. Founded over 20 years ago by Segway inventor Dean Kamen, First Lego League is a not-for-profit robotic program for 9 to 14-year-olds. This year's tournament featured the theme Nature's Fury, for which robots had to tackle models of natural disaster aftermath.
And Kent Place School in Summit has launched 2 National Ethics Bowl teams. This fall, Kent Place School in Summit is sponsoring its first 2 teams in the National High School Ethics Bowl, the tournament organized out of the Parr Center for Ethics at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. 10 students from Kent Place will be participating in this bowl, and the vision of the bowl is to promote awareness about contemporary ethical issues. Teams will be asked a pointed question about a specific case study, and they'll be judged according to the best grasp of the ethical issues in the case. That's really interesting. I want to see the young people's opinion on it.
Perhaps we have some future lawyers in that group.
Well, I'm sure we do.
Some great minds for sure. And showing that our area teens are not only bright but also philanthropic, the Millburn High School students raised money for victims in the Philippines. Millburn High School students recently raised over $4,000 to benefit the victims of the typhoon that struck the Philippines. The students filled the streets of downtown Millburn on November 23rd selling t-shirts and collecting monetary donations throughout the day. The fundraising efforts were spearheaded by the Key Club, a community service club at the high school, along with members of the student government, the senior class, and the Red Cross Club, among others. The Key Club has done this type of fundraising in the past when disasters have struck around the world. They've raised money for victims of the tsunami in East South Asia, the hurricane in Haiti, and the typhoon in Japan. Move over, Bruce. There's a new boss in town. GQ magazine has named Governor Christie Boss of the Year. GQ has nothing but praise for Christie in this annual Min of the Year issue, in which the editors compare his walk down the post-Hurricane Sandy boardwalk of Ocean City earlier this year to Charles de Gaulle's 1944 liberation of Paris. The editors say Christie has been the only politician in America who had a good 2013, and he even mastered the art of taking a selfie.
That comparison might be a little ambitious, but
Well,
he sure is getting a lot of press.
We're just bringing you the facts.
Well,
right?
let's see what he does with it.
Yes.
Okay. All right, folks, mark your calendars for a treat. The Taste of Chatham returns. An annual Chatham Education Foundation fundraiser that showcases food from area restaurants is scheduled for Friday, February 28th at the Fairmont Country Club, which is a really great venue. Proceeds of the event will support grants to the school district of the Chathams for the sole purpose of enhancing educational endeavors for all children. And for a taste of the holidays, Cynthia Falco is here to tell us about a healthy holiday cookie option that's easy to make for your next holiday gathering. Let's learn more about them.
Hi, I'm Cynthia, and I'm here to introduce you to a wonderful new cookie for your next holiday cookie swap. This cookie is easy to prepare, it's super healthy and natural. It's a rustic Linzer torte cookie. It's made with whole almonds, rolled oats, and whole wheat pastry flour. The pastry flour has the consistency of the regular white flour that we're used to using, yet has all the benefits of whole wheat flour. What we do is we take the almonds and put them in a blender or a food processor and process them until they're like a course meal. We do the same with the oats. So they're not quite a flour consistency. And then the whole wheat pastry flour we use as is. And we simply combine them together and put in a pinch of salt and a teaspoon of cinnamon, and we just mix them up. Now the grain and the nut combination here forms a complete protein. So not only do the cookies have a complete protein, they are filled with fiber. And my favorite part of these cookies, other than the taste, is that they're so healthy. We're using coconut oil instead of corn oil or olive oil or whatever other fat you might use. Whenever you're measuring an oil and then a liquid sweetener combination, always measure the oil first. That way your measuring cup won't hold on to the liquid sweetener. It's just half a cup of coconut oil and half a cup of maple syrup, which we just whiz together. And its consistency becomes a little more gelatinous. So when you've achieved that, you just pour it into the dry ingredients and just mix it by hand. So you can see this cookie comes together really quickly, very easily. Here. Mix it until it's fully integrated. The benefits of the coconut oil are that it boosts your immunity, it strengthens us against viruses and bacteria. It also nourishes the hormones that control our thyroid. It increases our metabolism. So if you want to lose weight, a good breakfast to have is like soft cooked grains and a tablespoon of coconut oil. You can use brown rice or millet or oatmeal or oat groats. And just that will keep you satisfied for hours and hours, and it does speed your metabolism. It really, really works. So when the cookies have really come together now, this is their consistency. And what we do is make a little ball. I like to make my cookies substantial, because as long as we're going for it, we might as well go big. So we just roll these into circles. And when you've made all of your cookies into circles, with a wet thumb, you just make a lovely little thumbprint right in the middle. And into that, at this time of year, I always use raspberry or strawberry or cherry jam, something red. In the summer, you can use peach jam or whatever is handy. You can use cranberries at Thanksgiving. This is what the cookies look like going in. I want to say a word about the cookie sheets. You should always use a light colored cookie sheet. This way your cookies will cook evenly. If you use a dark pan, those are meant for browning things, and your cookies will burn on the bottom without looking cooked on top. So these we pop into the oven, and when they're done, this is what they look like. They shouldn't look brown on top. The bottoms should be just a golden brown like that. Also, parchment paper not only helps with cleanup, but protects your cookies from browning and protects the longevity of your cookie sheets. So that's one of my favorite cookies, and I hope you have a very merry holiday.
Oh, those look good. We happen to have some cookies here. I've been staring at it all broadcast today. Should we give them a try?
Why not?
All right. Are you sure these are healthy?
Well, I hope so.
Well, they're good. Very good. Still hungry? Come hear a food historian at the Millburn Library. Food historian Judith Kroll-Russo will give a presentation on colonial and Victorian holiday customs at the Millburn Free Public Library on Wednesday, December 18th from 2 to 3 p.m. Kroll-Russo explores the similarities and differences between the eras and talks about what foods were prepared and enjoyed as part of the holiday festivities. Enjoy a journey into the past while learning more about what the customs are that still mark this time of year. Admission is free, sponsored by the Friends of the Millburn Free Public Library. Please call the library to reserve a seat or sign up online.
Shoppers in Millburn last Saturday had a surprise visitor, and no, it was not Santa. Well, guess what? It was newly elected Senator Cory Booker, who included Millburn in a 3-town stop on November the 30th, promoting Small Business Saturday. Booker shook hands with passersby, dropped in at local merchants, bought a slice of pizza at La Strada for his driver, a blouse for his niece at Suki's, and a pair of shoes for himself at Futter's. Well, he was escorted around the Millburn downtown area by Mayor Sandra Hamoff, who called the visit wonderful and invigorating, and it gave a boost to local merchants. Now, Black Friday ironically started with a blackout at the mall. Shopper traffic at the mall at Short Hills this Black Friday was consistent with traffic at the mall last year for the day after Thanksgiving. That after losing power at dawn. Only Macy's was already open when a fault occurred in a JCPL substation and shut the power off early in the morning for approximately 10 minutes. However, the mall's emergency generators kicked on right away, and there were no injuries or elevator entrapments during the outage. JCP&L switched to a secondary feeder 7 minutes after the power failure, and that restored power at the mall. Other buildings, including the Mack Cali building and the Hilton of Short Hills, also lost power during this time, as well as parts of Summit, Millburn, Madison, and Short Hills. They got a temporary scare there, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad nobody was in the elevator. That would have been horrifying.
That's scary.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for this avid reader, news about books is always good news. A Summit resident pays tribute to its historic homes in her new book. Summit resident, former councilwoman, and current Historical Society volunteer and trustee Cynthia Martin is sharing her love of history and architecture in her recently released book, Summit's Historic Homes. Martin, who grew up in Madison, has lived in one of the Summit Historic Homes with her husband and 3 children since 1988. Summit Historic Homes includes more than 200 vintage items of the magnificent homes of Summit, as well as some rarely seen before images of residents designed by local architects. Martin is donating profits from the sale of this book to the Summit Historical Society. For more on this story, please stay tuned to HomeTowne TV's Mayor Show for an in-depth interview, and you can check your local listings for times. Bob, did you do any cyber shopping on Cyber Monday?
I did not.
You did not. Well, if you did, as I did, you might want to credit a Chatham resident with the idea.
Okay.
Chatham resident Scott Silverman was executive director of Shop.org when the organization noticed there was an increasing number of online sales happening the Monday after Thanksgiving. Together with his colleague, they coined the phrase Cyber Monday. Silverman said it was captured in the imagination of other media. There was an appearance on CNN, late-night talk show hosts mentioned it in their monologues, and Jon Stewart did a bit on it. This year's Cyber Monday saw record online sales. More importantly, Shop.org bought the domain cybermonday.com and created a shopping site that has generated more than $2 million in scholarship funds for college students interested in e-commerce and retail.
The annual Toys for Tots collection is underway in Summit. The Summit PBA and Summit FMBA have teamed up to bring smiles to the faces of underprivileged children this holiday season. Donations of new and unwrapped toys for kids of all ages are needed for the annual Marine Corps Toys for Tots campaign. This is ongoing through December the 18th. There are several drop sites in the city, including City Hall, the Fire Department, the Post Office, and a number of participating businesses. That is a worthwhile cause.
I'll be picking up a toy soon for sure.
Same here, yeah.
Our friends over at the Mill Playhouse in Millburn are collecting both coats and food this month. Mill Playhouse in Millburn announces 2 initiatives to help the needy in New Jersey this holiday season. For the 17th year, the Playhouse will partner with Jersey Cares as a collection site for their winter coat drive. New and gently used coats can be dropped off during the run of Mill Playhouse's production of Oliver through December 29th. The theater will also be collecting non-perishable food items to be distributed to area food pantries for their Food Glorious Food Drive. Any person that donates a coat or non-perishable food item will be rewarded with a Mill Playhouse 75th Anniversary Scratch-Off game ticket for a chance to win valuable prizes. Oliver will be performed at the Mill Playhouse 8 times a week, Wednesday through Sunday, plus a special Christmas Eve matinee on Tuesday, December 24th. Family-friendly performance schedules are Wednesday at 7 p.m. and Thursday at 1:30 p.m. And get this, Bob, the Food Glorious Food Drive was the brainchild of a 12-year-old actor, Chance Friedman of Berkeley Heights, who plays an orphan in the show. Chance recognized that the sad truth is that even in these modern times, people in our community go hungry every day.
Take an artistic break from shopping and stop by to see Bold Impressions in Chatham. Andrea Epstein, painter and printmaker, will be having a one-person show at the Lunt Glover Gallery in Chatham Township. The Arts League of the Chathams will be presenting about 30 works on paper by this Berkeley Heights resident in a show titled Bold Impressions. The start of the show, on December 15th from 2 until 4 p.m., is open to all. The show will remain on display until March the 11th of 2014. With a characteristic mix of bold colors and many layers, Epstein creates an intricate depth to her pieces with abstract shapes. Epstein has shown her work quite often in the U.S. with recent shows in New Jersey, New York, and Massachusetts. You know, local residents will have almost 4 months to get to see that, and it's very worthwhile.
That sounds good. We'll have to check it out.
Yep.
And right around the corner in Chatham, in the spirit of the season, the Chatham Playhouse presents Christmas Cards. The Chatham Playhouse's holiday presentation of Christmas cards will be performed on December 12th through 14th at 8 p.m. and on December 14th and 15th at 3 p.m. All performances are at the Chatham Playhouse. Tickets are $15 for youth and $15 for adults and $10 for youth. HomeTowne TV's theater contributor Sherry Race is one of the actors in the show, and we would like to tell her and the rest of the cast to break a leg. For more information, call the box office or visit the website.
Congratulations now to the Millburn Millers, who were named All-State Musicians. 14 high school students have recently been selected as members of the prestigious and highly selective New Jersey All-State Orchestra, Jazz Band, and Chorus. Students selected into these programs are considered to be among the best high school musicians in the state. Hundreds of student musicians representing dozens of schools throughout the state audition each year for these prestigious ensembles, with only those receiving the highest scores gaining membership. The All-State Orchestra, Jazz Band, and Chorus groups perform in November at the New Jersey Educators Association Annual Convention in Atlantic City and at NJPAC. The All-State Bands perform at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in February, as part of the annual conference of the New Jersey Music Educators Association. I'm a big proponent of kids and music.
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I have such admiration for them. They're so talented.
And it's something that lasts a lifetime. They can use it forever. So. Our own Matt DeFonso is sitting in the Sports Center now with the latest on our local teams. Let's go over to sports with the Fonz.
Hello everybody, and welcome to the newest edition of Sports with the Fonz. I'm your host, Matt DeFonso. The Super Bowl, NBA Finals, and March Madness are amazing mega events of the sporting world, but that's not the only thing they have in common. Each event is also younger than the Madison-Millburn Thanksgiving Day football rivalry, which is over 80 years old. And this year's matchup between the Millers and Dodgers was not without its fair share of drama. Millburn's first offensive play of the game following a Madison fumble, and Miller's quarterback Jared Harris goes 32 yards untouched for the first score of the game. Early in the second quarter, and Zach Weinstein goes 2 yards into the end zone to cap off a 95-yard scoring drive for Millburn and put the Millers up 2 touchdowns. End of the first half, Millers up 21-6, and Dodger QB Sam North tosses a pick for Madison's third turnover of the half. End of the third quarter, Dom Lupino takes the ball round the left side of the formation and into the end zone. The extra point cuts Millburn's lead to 8. Midway through the fourth, Millburn up 28-20, and Madison puts a 6 spot on the board to cut the lead to 2. 2-point conversion fails, and after a drive helped along by 2 Madison penalties, Jared Harris stumbles into the end zone. The Millers go up 9 with the extra point, and Millburn claims a 35-26 victory in their 27th all-time M&M Bowl win. The winter sports season has barely started, but 2 area girls teams are making a giant splash in their season openers. The Chatham girls swim team opens up its season with a monster win over the Madison Dodgers. Ranked 3rd in the Star Ledger's preseason top 20, the Cougars scored 140 points to Madison's 30 to take their season opener on December 3rd by a whopping 110 points. The Cougars are defending Public Group B state champions. The Summit girls swimmers crush Union by 90 points, winning on December 3rd by a final score of 130-40. Not to be outdone, Summit's boys crush Union High School 107-63 in their first meet of the season on December 3rd. The Summit boys swimmers are 9th in the Star Ledger's preseason top 20. The Chatham boys swim team has not yet begun competition for the season. And in boys ice hockey, the top 2 area squads get off to strong starts. Chatham beats Kinnelon 5-1 in its season opener on November 30th, while Summit defeats Brick 5-1 on December 3rd. Chatham and Summit are ranked 6th and 10th respectively in the Star Ledger's preseason top 20. That's all for this week's edition of Sports with the Fonz. Be sure to tune in again next week for highlights of the final area football game of the season, Summit versus Parsippany Hills for the North 2 Group 3 State Championship. I'm Matt DeFonso. Back to you, Bob.
Thanks, Matt. Well, folks, that's it for the news for this week. You've been watching HomeTowne TV's weekly news broadcast featuring stories from the independent press, the Millburn Item, and the Summit Patch. See it here and read it there. I'm Bob Heissler.
And I'm Leigh Pafford. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, and check out our on-demand homecasting feature.
Your community, your news on HomeTowne TV 4 times a day, every day at 7 and 11, both AM and PM. Thanks for watching us, and happy holidays, and we'll see you next time.
First Aid, Summit PD, Summit Fire, Morris Avenue and Maple Street, Morris Ave and Maple Street. auto pedestrian.
So I emerged from the clutter and walked into the middle of the street when I had the light, and all of a sudden I was struck from behind. And I woke up on the ground, absolutely paralyzed. And then I heard the rescue squad siren, and they came, and one of the men on the squad said to me, "We need to get you first into a neck brace and then onto a board." I wound up spending 10 days at Morristown. Gradually, a good deal of my paralysis wore off, but not all of it. If that neck brace had not been put on perfectly, and the movement onto the bodyboard done perfectly, I could have been a quadriplegic.
The first aid squad was instrumental in getting my son to top quality trauma care very quickly after he had a bad head injury, June of 2010. He was skateboarding with a couple of friends. He fell off his board somehow and smacked his head open on a curb. The speed with which the first aid squad responded to this disaster had a lot to do with him being with us today. It's incredible that here in this town of Summit, we have this fantastic free life-saving service that's totally available to every citizen, and in fact staffed by local citizens. It's a real plus for our community, and I know that firsthand.
I just can't speak highly enough of the people who are there, who volunteer. I know what it was like for Ian to get up on a very cold winter's night, in the dead of night, to go on a call. He never ever said, "Oh, I can't be bothered," or "I don't want to." He always went with enthusiasm, and I feel that that's the way everybody deals with it right now.
And in the ambulance, I was feeling very nice and relaxed, and they were like moving my pillow for me and rising it up and down for me. I think it's important that Summit has a first aid squad so that we stay safe and healthy.
To have a fully volunteer first aid squad that provides the services to our members of our community without any subsidy from the city, from the state, is pretty remarkable. It's an extraordinary service that we have come to count on.
I'm Ellen Dixon, Mayor of Summit.
And I'm Jordan Glatt, the former Mayor of Summit.
We're here today to talk to you about the First Aid Squad. It is a community service run entirely by volunteers without any taxpayer subsidy that may be there for you on the most important day of your life.
The First Aid Squad deserves our support. It receives, as Mayor Dixon said, no funding from the city, but it also doesn't charge for any of its services to those that they help. It's truly neighbors helping neighbors. The First Aid Squad deserves our support.
They're amazing, and they're well trained, and it's the training that really, really pays off, and you can only appreciate it when you see what happened in the case that I was in. They probably saved my life effectively, and I'm much indebted to them.